Hello. One second, it's a little dark. Don't want to be backlit. Backlighting is notoriously terrible for actually being able to see your subject. So, anyway, this brings me to my second daily live stream. So, for this live stream, I want to be talking about a continuation of this topics from previous live streams. So, this is a light shines in the darkness not comprehend it. The previous live stream was the people perish for lack of a vision. And I'm just using these biblical headings because I think they're good. And they kind of give me like a mood to go for. So the light shining in the darkness. So the darkness is really like hopelessness and apathy. Like I think ultimately there is evil in the world. And I understand the motivations of evil people out there to do evil, but I don't think that evil in the world is the biggest problem. Like, I don't really think that we're going to end up like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we have like some Adolf Hitler come in and then he just takes over everything and then he just starts killing people and oppressing people. There's first a depression. Like Adolf Hitler needed the depression in Germany in order to gain power. And the depression was largely, depressionary economic states are largely apathy. Like, this is interesting. So it's a thought I had recently. So depressions are like the reason that countries get out of depressions by war. It's actually talked about. He didn't talk about this directly in Levels of Energy, but the book Levels of Energy talks about like levels of consciousness. And I'll really outline some levels for you. So you have like 50 is apathy. And then 100 would be like fear, I think. Like, and then like 160 is like aggression. That would be the energy level at which war happens. Like 190 is like 125 would be like craving, like intense craving, like a drug addict. 190 is vanity. 200 is like functionality. They go up from there, but basically though, like from a levels of consciousness perspective, it's just a model. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But using this model, we can say, okay, why do countries get themselves out of depression by war? Because you're in an apathetic state or a despotic state. Identifying an outward enemy and then directing your energies at them is actually what you need. Because in a depression economically, there's really no reason for a depression to happen, which is one of the things that always sounds so interesting about depressions, is that there's no reason for them. Like at the end of the day, like you don't need to have a depression. Like there's all the materials to make the stuff. There's the people that make the stuff. Like why aren't the people just making the stuff? Well, because blah, 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 blah. But what it really comes down to though is like people are in a despotic state. Like the mood of the country is in a despotic state. It's so interesting. You go into a gas station, people are like, oh, we're in a recession or something. Like, oh, like the economy. It's like the economy is really like the mood of the country, and I don't know which one causes which. So people use identifying an outward enemy to get themselves out of apathy. But yeah, I don't think that like the problem is some evil person coming in and like taking over. I think the problem is people being in a despotic state. Like people don't know what to do. So like I'll just give an example from my own life because we can all really only speak from our own experience. So I have a wife and children and I have a vision for the future. Because I have this vision for the future, I just work constantly to make this vision happen. And I don't really have motivation problems because it's just like, well, I just have to just keep working to make this happen. I have like making myself get enough rest problems. But basically, I'm more useful to the world in this highly motivated state than I would be in a less motivated state because I'm doing more stuff. I'm creating more value in my work to produce a family and produce my future. So my economic value, my value to keeping the United States functioning in a way that it should be functioning is relative to my motivational state. So like the whole country, I mean, you see like, let's say like a fat person, like someone who's really obese and like depressed and has anxiety and they're on tons of medication, they can't sleep well. I've been that person at that point in time. I mean, I've been tons of medications, but couldn't sleep well, and all the other had been fat and all that stuff. So I'm worth less in that state. I mean, I'm still worth the same as like a divine spark of God, but I'm just objectively less useful in that state because like because I'm just like I'm tired. I can't really think straight. I can't do stuff. Like I can't do as much stuff. So I'm less useful to myself and I'm less useful to other people. So for me to become more useful is good for everyone. So like let's say you have like a society of fat people and a society of fit people. The society of fit people is obviously going to be better than the society of fat people because the society of fat people is going to be capable of doing less. Like their house is going to be less organized. They're going to eat less healthy food because they're not going to have the energy to make the healthy food. They're going to put less effort into their interpersonal relationships because they don't have the mental energy to put energy into their interpersonal relationships. They're going to just be less than they would be otherwise. And seeing as like society in the world is the amalgamation and cooperation of all human efforts and relationships, when people put less effort into relationships and less effort into everything else because their health is worse and their motivation is worse, as again, this is what happens with pornography and OnlyFans. People are like, oh, it's not bad. And it's like, I just think they're delusional nutcases because like, it's so obviously bad because society, like you look at the world, like society is the byproduct of all this effort. People are putting their effort into this completely futile thing at like an incredibly high rate. And it's not going anywhere. Like the energy's not going anywhere. People aren't reproducing. We're seeing a massively declining birth rate. And that is ultimately, it's just kind of this, there's a lot of reasons for it. Like we're really like not like the culture as a whole is very like anti-marriage, anti-children. Like it's just very much like don't have children, don't get married, like put it off, invest in a career, fornicate. Like look at all the music, movies, media, all this stuff. Like the majority of it is all pushing the, I don't know, neoliberal. It's not family values. It's not pushing. And what I mean by family values is specific stuff. Like family values is making men desirable and capable for marriage by 20. I think that's largely the purpose of society because ultimately what we're seeing now is increased hypergamy, which is where you have many women giving attention to a small minority of men. And like I was one of those dudes in college. Like I'm not like, I don't know, the incel people like you're an incel. Like no. I was very much the opposite of an incel in college. And it was really depressing though, honestly. Like it was just really like, because it's just like, well, what's the point? Like it was just, I get into that other times. But like the thing is though, but also though, okay, I am the anti-marriage culture. I think that we should have a pro-marriage culture, pro-family culture. I think any culture that doesn't do its utmost to push men and women to get married at an early age is stupid because men and women getting married is the primary driver of what makes men and women mature. So we see lots of very immature people nowadays because break down the family unit. I mean, also though, there is the thing of like people are dying less than they were in the past. Like people 100, 200 years ago died at a higher rate because less sanitation, less medicine, less access to food and all this stuff. So there are lots of people alive today who wouldn't have been alive 100, 200 years ago. And that's a good thing. But when we think about how people are depressed, we should consider that a lot of the people who are depressed are probably people who wouldn't have been alive. Or maybe not, it'd be shifting demographics because like I was depressed in middle school, early high school, at various points in time from just like soy, autoimmune, sleep problems, metabolic problems, various issues that I'm still fleshing out completely. But basically, oh yeah, so I've been depressed at points in time, but my being depressed at points in time is like, would I have been depressed 200 years ago? Would I have been dead 200 years ago? I mean, maybe. I mean, like I was born via cesarean, but then you can like say, well, did the medical system contribute to this cesarean happening. Whatever, there's more people surviving now. So this is clearly a good thing, but there's also more mental health problems. So this is not good. So at the same time as I point out the meaning crisis that's going on, I think the meaning crisis is mostly an underlying health crisis. I think it's largely a result of people's brains not working, people having broken brain syndrome, people having metabolic dysfunction contributing to broken brain syndrome, people having reactions to various there's just toxic stuff in the food. I mean, there's like stuff that like I react to, like let's say like, oh, I eat sunflower oil and it makes me inflame, but like sunflower oil has existed for thousands of years. It might not be the best oil, but like people were making sunflower oil, I think, in the Middle East. I don't know if it was you know what I mean? Like, so sunflower oil has existed. It's not like completely made up. Gargi, it's rancid, all this stuff causes inflammation. But there's like red 40. like there's just red 40, like yellow 5, green 5 and 7, blue 6. That's cool. I mean, like methylene blue is supposed to have health benefits and stuff. I haven't tried out methylene blue, but I should probably try that just because I kind of tried. I tried every other biohack. It's supposed to be something that helps your mitochondria, similar to CoQ10. We'll see. Not a priority right now, but basically, though, there's just this completely artificial stuff that's in the food, and people are just eating it. And there's nutrient deficiency, there's soil problems. I think Sadhguru is correct when he talks about the soil issues that are going on. There's a lot of soil problems. A lot of problems with the soil being depleted, monocropping, and soil depletion leading to nutrient depletion in the food. Like, why is it that I have to take so many supplements to function? I mean, there's stuff with like heavy metal accumulation causing poor absorption of vitamins. This is all stuff that's to be explored and fleshed out in greater detail, but ultimately, there's this health meaning crisis going on. People are unhealthy. They lack motivation. They lack energy. They're morbidly obese. I like seeing the memes that people are putting out there where they're like, look at the 70s. People were not obese and everything. Look at now. People are obese. What's happening? Where is this coming from? And people, I think, are starting to like wake up. They're like, what's going on? And this is what's going on. I mean, they're just putting stuff in the food that's causing people to become unhealthy. It's just we're being poisoned. There's also sedentary lifestyle and all this stuff, but a lot of the reason people tend towards a sedentary lifestyle is because they have no energy and the body doesn't work. So, but it's weird though. Elementary school, like we just force kids to sit down for hours and hours and hours a day. It's like, okay, little young boy with lots of energy, sit down in that chair and don't move for 8 hours. And if you move, you're bad. And we're going to like ostracize you and tell everyone that you're bad and put you on like a child achievement plan for bad children. And like it's just this weird thing. And it's like I was on those as a kid. And they didn't even tell my parents, which I didn't find that out until like later on. I told my parents like certain things that like the school like put me on. They're like not like drugs or anything, but just like various like weird things they did, like taking me out of class and having me go see a child psychologist. They didn't even know that they were doing that. It wasn't even for anything like I wasn't like being a problem. It would be like I would like ask too many questions in math. Like I would like be too eager to like say the answer in math. So they're just like, child who is forced to only do math and sit down and not run around, who's expressing excessive eagerness to do math. You are bad and problematic. We shall make you see a child psychologist and not tell your parents about this. They're bad people. And I've like run into certain elementary school teachers outside of elementary school years later, and they can't even look me in the eyes because they know they're bad people deep down. Like they know they were bad. Like they know that they were just not good people to me, and that they were like, they just know. Like I just like see it disappointed me actually because I remember like thinking before I ran to like this teacher, I was like, oh, they didn't really mean it, you know, like maybe it just missed me. And like everybody was just like they're looking at him. I'm like, I was like a grown man, I'm looking at this guy. It was like my teacher in like 6th grade. And I'm like, like you knew You know, you just did it because you could. Like, they're just not great people. I don't know. Maybe other people have better elementary school experiences than that, but I don't think so. I mean, went to school in Massachusetts, one of the best schools in Massachusetts, public school, but one of the best public elementary schools in Massachusetts. And I have to say, it's just probably like it's a lot of pathology in the school system, a lot of pathology. I mean, it's people talking about like molestation, various things that go on in public school. I never was a victim of that, thank God. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, first of all, just the making people sit down, like making kids like sit down for like hours a day. Like, I remember I'd like go in the bathroom and I just stare out the windows and I said like long to be free. Like, but it's just weird. It's like weird. It's like imprisonment. Like, I remember like I'd be sitting there and I'd be like, I'm in jail, but I don't remember committing a crime. For real though, like, and it's whatever though. But the health and meaning crisis. So I think, but like, okay, but like again, I really do want to like not be a complaining person because I think that being complaining is like not beneficial. It's not special to be able to complain. Like, and then this is my story of the time that things were hard. It's like, okay, yeah, like things are hard at points in time, and like whatever. Like, I didn't have my penis vivisected by Mongolians, like in some like prisoner of war camp. So whatever, I'm happy. Wasn't molested or anything, wasn't like beaten and starved. So, and like I did it, like, I mean, like there were like, there's like one or maybe two possibly teachers I had in public school who wanted the best for me, maybe. I don't know. It was fine. It's like, it's just kind of like, it's kind of like a not great experience though. Like to start your life off just having to sit down in a room where you can't actually learn what you want to learn. Like I remember, maybe I brought this up yesterday. Like I was reading the Odyssey in 4th grade and they like confiscated it from me. So they're like, that's too advanced for you. So it's just school getting in the way of my education. And that's kind of how I always viewed it. And anyone who doesn't see it that way, anyone who's like, you're just not taking advantage of the opportunity, where like I would challenge them to consider that that's an incredibly narcissistic and narrow-minded frame to have the belief that simply because someone else had a different experience than you, they did things wrong. Maybe I don't know, maybe they're even denial of their own experience and whatever. But like, I mean, also though, I think that there is this thing of like you go back 150 years and like your ancestors were slaves. Like my ancestors, I mean, like I have Irish heritage, so like that means like 150 years ago, my ancestors were having their food stolen by the British and being oppressed by the British. Like whatever. Like I'm not particularly upset about it in like a it's unjust kind of way. I'm just looking at the world and family structures and the way people interact, the way my family interacts, the way I view things, the way other people view things, the way different generations view things. I try to understand, putting myself outside of myself. I'm like, why do they see this way? Like, why are they so cool with these things that to me seem bad? And I think it just has to do with like where you come from. Like my father, for instance, like amazing father, like did an amazing job raising me and my brother and sister. But he would tell me at times, like we were like growing up, like I'd be like, isn't this like situation chaotic or whatever? There's nothing too crazy, but like he'd be like, Devin, like when I was raising myself in the ghetto with my 3 brothers and sisters after both my parents died before I was 13, and we were all beating each other up with frying pans while the neighbors were shooting our windows out with 22s. Like I just can't really. I have a hard time viewing you guys getting mad at each other as a problem because you all have all your limbs and fingers and no one's bleeding to death and everyone's fed and fine and the house is still standing and everything's cool in 20 minutes. So it just doesn't even strike me as a problem at all. It doesn't register as something that I should even pay attention to. I'm like, that's a good point. And then I think about like just weird stories I hear about like my grandmother's parents, like just the way they'd interact. Like, God bless them. I really don't want to speak poorly of the dead or of old family members, not even speaking poorly of them. I think they're great people. I mean, they raised my grandmother, raised my mother, raised me, and I think I'm awesome. So they must have been pretty awesome too, because if I'm awesome, they got to be awesome. So where's the awesome coming from? But it's like, what why is it that my grandmother tells me that she lived next to her grandparents and her aunt and uncle, and they never came over to help them at all, ever, even when they were struggling and in poverty, and like and like they were all sick with polio, and her father was away in World War II, and they just seemed to be incredibly like there's just this weird, like, intense apathy that's present at certain points of my family structure that I'm like, it almost appears like hatred. I'm like, why are they directing hatred at their own family? And I'm like, maybe it's not hatred. Maybe it's just the fact that like 2 generations previously, there was like a red coat with like his boot on like my great grandfather's neck, and another red coat was just like beating up his wife, and the baby's in the corner screaming, and the older brother's like, if you don't scream, they won't cut off our tongues. And like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. So I don't really understand what kind of like trauma produces. Like, I mean, it's just weird stuff. Like, just like having like I don't know if anyone as a kid like had like parents just or grandparents scream at you like, children should be seen and not heard. It's just weird, because I'm like, what if you just said woman should be seen and not heard? Like, people be like, oh my God, how could you say that about a woman? That's like, say that about children. It's like, I'm like 8, like a person, you know what I mean? Like, should be seen, just, and like yelling that at me. It's just weird. Like, I'm like, where is this coming? But then I'm like, oh, wait, like generations ago, they're like, the fact that there aren't any horrible atrocities that have been committed within my family's active memory is a blessing. Like, other parts of my family that are married in are Armenian. Like, they remember the Armenian genocide. And it's like, there's just a lot of horror that comes with stuff like that. And I think that it makes its way into familial structures. And then people just don't talk about things. And they're just like, and like there's just this rigidity, and like, because they're just locked into surviving the horror. Like, I get it. Like, so my insomnia was so bad when I was health coaching this one person. I won't say any names, obviously. But I was health coaching this one person, and it's this lovely person, wonderful person. And this person would not follow the things I was telling this person to do. I would tell this person to do X, Y, and Z, and this person would do X, Y, and B. And then it wouldn't work. And I would be like, and I just wouldn't drop this person. And this person was making some progress, slight progress, because the stuff's good. I mean, like, stuff works, but like not the progress this person was hoping for, because this person wasn't following through. And I went on like this for a year and a half without getting additional payment, because I just have so much trauma from when I couldn't sleep, that the fact that this person would text me and be like, I can't sleep, I would just be like, oh my God, I will do anything to help you. Because like my just fight or flight system would kick in. I would just like go back to when I was just like in bed, and I'm like, if I can survive this, then I can help other people. If I can survive this, I can help other people. And like, so I get what it's like to just kind of like go beyond rationality. Like, I was just literally like, and I have a policy of like, if you're not adhering, like if you're just doing, like if we make a plan for you to not eat McDonald's and you just go eat McDonald's, you just keep doing that, like I drop you because you're not invested. So I can't be invested. It's just silly. Like, come back when you are serious. But I found that hard to stick to. And then like other times with like getting angry at people, it's like I was flipped out at as a kid. So like I have a tendency to flip out. And it's like, I get it. And like trying to piece out, like I was bullied too. So like if people were to try to bully me or ever like if someone in public like were to like try to like put their hands on me, I put them in the hospital. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I know that that person is an active threat until I make them no longer an active threat. And I have 1.5 million ways that I've trained for 10,000 hours to remove said threat. I don't know if that's a trauma stress response or whatever. I mean, it's effective in my mind. People don't bother me. And if they were to, I'd be fine. If someone were to try to, God forbid, attack my wife and child in front of me, I would be able to stop them. Even if multiple people, I'd be able to stop them. I mean, it depends on how many multiple people, if they're armed, whatever. I'm creative, though. I would be able to. I mean, like, freaking try me. Like, try me. You know what I mean? You got 5 guys coming at me, and they're all like, we're going to kill you. You're so funny. Like, you think you're so clever. You think that you got all these people and you think that's going to keep you safe. You think you understand what's going to happen the second my brain turns on. And it's not even like some nonsense like, you know my mentality. It's like, I've just spent like 10,000 hours training fighting people. Like, it just cool, man. Whatever. It's like taking candy from a baby. I also carry a knife on me at all times. I mean, like, again, I don't know if this is a trauma response. This amazing knife. It's a CRKT Fossil designed by, like, I think Ikoma. I love that guy. It's just a brilliant knife designer. I remember I messaged him after I bought this knife. It's absolutely amazing. I carry this knife on me because I was actually assaulted in public. I had to actually throw a punch to defend myself from this guy. But I didn't have a knife on me because I was taken by the TSA because it just ended up in my thing. Whatever. They have to take it. Whatever. It's cool. I'm not upset. The woman probably gave it to her son. God bless him. Hope that knife goes on to have many more adventures. But anyway, get this other knife because I got attacked in public. I didn't have a knife on me to defend myself. The dude was like 6'5", and it was really freaky. So I carry a knife on me. Like, and I'm really good. I'm very trained at hand fighting, striking. I'll get to your jugular. Like, again, I don't know if this is a stress response talking. If someone ever tries to attack me in public, my first response is I back up and I say, don't take another step. Stop. Like I'm very diffusey, but like if you get within range, acting crazy. I mean, first I will try to like control you, take you. I mean, I'm not trying to kill anyone, but I mean, like if there are 3 guys show up and they're trying to hurt me, that's what this is for. That's for like if there's more than one attacker, I'm not incapacitating people. I'm slashing their jugulars because it's life or death at that point. And that the self-defense laws in mass, and that's perfectly within my self-defense laws. Like multiple people attack me and put me in fear for my life, you can stab people in the jugular because it's you or them at that point. So obviously, but again, like I'm saying, I don't know if this is a trauma stress response from being bullied and like having people try to like assault me as like a middle schooler. But I've this, you know what I mean? Like, so like, is it, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? So maybe like my kids, if they're never bullied, which hopefully they aren't, they're gonna be in martial arts that they're gonna understand, because it's just, you have to understand the reality of physical violence, because sometimes crazy people try to initiate physical violence on you, and we live in a crazily peaceful time, and it's great. I'm happy we live in a peaceful time, but it's still a very peaceful time. So it's just necessary to understand that times are not always peaceful. And we should prepare for when they're not always peaceful so that we can not die and not like, I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't defended myself when that dude tried to assault me, like back in the summer. Like maybe he would have just jumped on top of me and just pounded my skull in and then walked away. And I don't know, maybe it's some escapee from a mental asylum. I have no idea. But thankfully, because I'm trained and I know what to do and I have confidence and I have like I mean, if he hadn't left and backed away, I would have double legged him. I would have put his head into the concrete. I would have put my knee on his face. I would have probably broken his leg. And then I probably would have strangled him unconscious. At the very least. It's unconscious, so he can't hurt me anymore. His leg's broken, so if he wakes up, he can't pursue. And he's grounded so that he has minimal capacity for explosive movements. If there were 2 of them, I would stab them in the neck. I don't ever want to hurt someone. I don't ever want to murder someone. I don't ever want, or not murder, it's self-defense. I guess I don't ever want to kill someone like that. Like that'd just be horrible. I don't want to kill someone, period. Like if that can be avoided, that'd be wonderful. Like, please God, like I do not want to ever have to kill someone in my life. But be prepared to. Be prepared. And I think that's also good, though, for like combating nihilism, to bring it back to this like cultural nihilism. Like I know lots of people have been bullied and it kind of like puts you into this state of fear. Like Joe Dispenza, I think, talks about this. you end up in a survival state. Your brain ends up in a hypercortisol based survival state. You can't think creatively. You're just stuck basically neurologically. You're stuck in this survival based state. And it's really bad for you. You age rapidly, you gain fat, you can't think creatively, you can't think outside the box, you can't think a way out of your current predicament. And all of that just leads to deterioration and poor metabolism, and really like despondency and suicide and this tragedy that we see of this meaning crisis. I think is also a health crisis, but they're very interrelated. And I think it's also a lack of vision. Like I love Paul Chek. He's like, you need like doctors, the 4 doctors, Dr. Happy, Dr. Quiet, Dr. Diet, and Dr. Movement. And Dr. Happy, like Dr. Happy is the dreamer, don't you know? Dr. Happy is the dreamer, don't you know? Dr. Happy is the dreamer, and the dreamer has the vision, and the vision and the dreamer sets the flow. Or something. Dr. Happy is the dreamer, don't you know? Dr. Happy is the dreamer, don't you know? Dr. Happy is the dreamer. Dr. Happy is Dr. Happy has the vision, and the vision sets the rhythm, and your vision and your rhythm set your flow. Ho, ho. Paul Chek. I love that guy. He's a great cult leader. Great, really smart guy too, though, which is interesting. I just want to point out, like, it's just interesting. I'll talk about that later, but like techniques for communicating information. But basically, though, yeah, Dr. Happy, you need a vision. For lack of vision, the people perish. You need some unifying vision. I need a sport to be healthy. If I don't have a sport and I have a vision for my health that inspires me, then I can't be healthy. That's just something I've realized. Like, I need that. Just the way it works. So I just recognize that within myself, and then I act accordingly. And that's really the best thing we can do. And I got to call it early today because I got to get back and get some stuff to do. But and my wife's got to go to a doctor's appointment and various things. But I'll be back tomorrow, probably around the same time. And let's make this a daily thing. I really like this. I like free associating, I like sharing all this stuff. I like sharing my vision, sharing my thoughts in this way. And this is going to help me really flesh out my ideas so I can share them with you in video courses I can make on YouTube, the insomnia course I'm going to make, and just everything I'm going to make. I just want to like communicate, like fireside chat, like just unfiltered Devin. Like, okay, who's this guy? What's he doing? This is me. This is what I'm doing. I'm sharing this information. This is all stuff that just comes to me. And tune in tomorrow. Until next time, Week to Warrior, stay strong and get along. Unless you want to have a competition, I guess. Competition's always cool.